Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about thesis statements and how do you create a stellar thesis statement. So let's start with what is a thesis statement. A thesis statement is a concise summary of the main point or the claim of an essay or research paper. So typically it's one sentence that appears at the end of the introduction. You will occasionally have professors who tell you that it has to be the exact last sentence in the introduction section. Generally, as long as it's somewhere in the introduction, I don't particularly care exactly where you place it. So let's talk about why a thesis statement is important. It does a couple of things. The first thing it does is it guides the reader. It is going to give you a roadmap for the paper. After reading your thesis statement, your reader will know exactly where they are headed on this journey with you. The other thing that it does is it focuses your argument. It helps to keep the writing focused and organized. A lot of times, if you've ever read something and you are a little bit confused about the direction that it's going, or it's not quite clear what the main point of the essay is, this can often be resolved by having a strong thesis statement in the paper writing process. So let's talk about what a strong thesis statement looks like. First of all, it's clear and specific. So you're going to avoid vague language. It needs to be arguable. It presents a claim that can be supported with evidence. And it's going to be concise. It expresses the main idea in a clear and succinct manner. So here are some types of thesis statements that you might be familiar with or that you will get to practice in your academic journal. So the first one is analytical. It breaks down an idea or issue into its parts. The next one is expository. This is going to explain something to the audience. And the third one, and probably the one that you're most familiar with, is an argumentative thesis statement. This makes a claim and justifies it with evidence. So, when you sit down and you decide that you're ready to write your thesis statement, there's a couple of things that I want you to do. The first one is to start with a question. What is it you're really thinking about here? What is it that you want your essay to answer? And then turn that question into a statement. And then you're going to refine the statement to be specific and clear until you have that one sentence thesis statement that encapsulates your paper. So let's look at some strong versus weak thesis statements. So here's a weak thesis statement. Many people think that global warming is a problem. This has got a couple of issues. First of all, it's kind of vague. What is many? Is that 7? Is that 5 billion, right? That's not really specific language. And what do you mean by problem? Slight inconvenience or global catastrophe? There's just not enough information in this statement. What if I were to say global warming is a critical issue that requires immediate action to reduce carbon emissions and prevent catastrophic climate change? Now, with this thesis statement, I know exactly where this author is headed in this essay. So there's some common mistakes that students often make before they have thesis statement writing down pat. The first one is creating something that's too broad or too narrow. Neither one of those work. You want to ensure that the thesis is focused but manageable. If we go back to the last slide, we can see that there's two main things that are going to be included in this essay. Immediate action to reduce carbon emissions and prevent catastrophic climate change, right? Global warming or climate change is a huge topic. We cannot talk about all aspects of that topic. So you want to make sure that you're not too broad, it's a problem, or too narrow. And then make sure that there is evidence in your thesis statement and that your thesis statement will be supported with research and evidence throughout the piece of writing or your essay. If you have questions on how to write your thesis statement, or even if you ever want me to just look over your thesis statement, stop by office hours or send me an email, and I am always happy to help.